Hi everyone, today we're going to be putting together a Bunnings shelving unit, Montgomery brand 5-shelf metal storage unit, which is just a 5-shelf basics shelving unit, metal frame with I think they're 9mm MDF shelves on it, 5 of them, height 1830, width 910, depth 410. They're quite simple to put together. They come in this fairly compact box which would fit in the boot of any car. They say they're rated at quite a lot of weight, 150 kilos per shelf, 750 per system, but they're made of pretty flimsy metal. I'm not sure I'll be putting 750 kilos on this, or even 150 per shelf. There's no middle supports in the actual wooden shelves, and when you're up that high, I don't think you want that sort of weight on it. That'd be like putting 36, 37 of these bags of cement on it. There's 80 odd kilos just there, 20 kilos per bag, and once you get up high on one of these shelves, it wouldn't be a good idea. I mean, I'm sure it's technically rated at that, but personally I'd only put light type items on these, just normal storage items you'd have around the house, fairly light stuff. Certainly on the lower shelf you could probably put quite a bit of weight, but even then I don't think that MDF is going to survive having too much weight on it. The unit itself is around 18 kilos, the box, so there is a lift warning on there, quite heavy in itself, but nice and compact, easy fits in the boot of your car, and easy to bring home. So this is what we have in the box. Once we open it up, you may need a knife to get into the box because it's pretty well glued together. But basically on the bottom we have our 5 bits of MDF shelving, we have some corner pieces, and then some cross pieces, and a little bag of screws, which is just if you want to mount it on the wall. We've got some instructions here of how to screw it to the wall, which is a good safety feature to stop it tipping over if you have kids, which could potentially climb up the shelves and pull them over on themselves, and probably just helps with keeping the shelves stronger and more robust and less likely to twist or anything like that. The actual assembly of the shelves, very straightforward. There's only basically I think 8 of these corner pieces, 4 rubber feet there, and then just the cross section, short ones and long ones, and a few little pins in that bag somewhere, either in with the feet, just to mount the 2 halves together. As you can see here, the corner pieces come in 2 sections and they just need to be joined, but basically the whole thing clips together with these keyholes. Most you need is a rubber mallet or a block of wood just to tap everything home, make sure it's fully seated. So we'll go ahead and start putting it together. Okay, so the first step is to get these rubber feet and mount them on 4 of these corner pieces. We need the little keyholes here with a smaller bit pointing down, so I've got this upside down, so obviously the bottom is where the foot's going to go, but we will flip them back over, so these just simply push on, and you just got to do that on the 4 corners, and then we can start assembling some of the cross units. So lay out your 4 pieces, assemble the feet, and then we can start putting the cross bits in as per the first part of the instructions, step 1 here. So that gives you all the idea. Feet on, and then put these cross sections. You make 2 pieces like that, and then it's a matter of putting in these shorter cross sections, and that gives us our basic base of our frame. We then place on the second set of corners using these little pins, and then it's just a matter of assembling the rest of these side pieces, short and long ones, and putting the shelves in place. I think it does say here to put the bottom shelf in place once you've got these basic base part together, just to make it a bit more sturdy, and then you can just proceed to start assembling the second section. So here we have one of our side pieces. You can see these couple of round bits sticking out. They obviously slot into these key slots and then slide downwards, the other way around of course. These have a sort of triangular section sitting out. The shelf sits on the top bit here, so you need this bent out piece up towards the top, and simply pop it into those holes up at the top of them, and then slots down. You can pull it down by hand, roughly into place, but later on we'll have to tap that in with a mallet or a piece of wood, bang it with your foot or something just to make sure these are fully seated down where they have to go. And there we have our basic side piece. We repeat that again with this one, and then we put these little short pieces in to join the two halves together. Just to give you an idea how flimsy this metal is, we can basically twist this around quite a bit, or if we lift one of the ends up, the other one will stay on the floor. It's just starting to lift. That's how flimsy these frames are, but once they're all put together and braced with the shelves, they actually do form a fairly solid unit. So here we have one of the side pieces, the long sides that is, with the two little short bits. We have our other side piece assembled, and it's just a matter of lifting this other piece up, slotting it in, and we have our basic bottom piece done. And then they do recommend putting a shelf in there just to brace it up a bit. Okay, so we have our base in place now, one shelf in place, four sides and the cross bits, rubber feet on. Now step 2 in the manual, or is it step 3 now? Step 3. So step 3 here is to assemble the two halves of the corner pieces to get our second tier, I guess. We have some little metal pins here, and they just need to be put in the slots inside these corner pieces. They have some little holes there in the bottom. Make sure again your key's pointing downwards with a small bit down, and it's easiest just to actually assemble these pins into here. So in each corner piece we have these couple of little pieces there, little holes to put one of these metal pins in, and we just push that in. You'll probably get down to the second one and just give it a tap with a screwdriver until a bit of it sticks out the other side like that. Then we can go over to our frame, and it's just a matter of sticking it into the lower one and then bang it home with a screwdriver till it's fully seated down, and that is, it'll basically cling in there for now. Once we put the side pieces in here, that'll strengthen all this up. So you just do that with the 4 of them, and then we can start putting in these middle side pieces to hold the two halves together a bit better. Okay, so now we're up to step 4. We've placed these upper pieces in place with the pins, and now we need to put these edge bits in, these side pieces in, and they have to go in a particular way because they basically help to hold the two halves together. So when we come over here, there's no overlap between these bits, they actually just sit like so. Now we need to mount the shelf so it fits into these keyholes right where the joint is. So we need to get into this lower one where there's a half bit there, so that we straddle the joint here with our piece. So we'll bring this in now. And so the top part goes in the hole above, bottom one into that hole right on the joint, that sort of half hole, and bang that home, and then we just do that all the way around. It's the same thing here, and that will hold the joint together here and stop those bits being able to move. So now we've completed step 4, got the bottom layer, got the top one. We haven't put the very top one yet, but we've got the middle thing in place. It's best just to get a lump of wood or something And make sure you tap these down, rubber mallet if you want to be fancy about it. Just tap each end in and just make sure the side pieces are fully seated in the keyholes. Now we can stick our top layer on, and then it's a matter of putting the intermediate shelves in place, or the sides for them. Basically these are adjustable, so you can put them anywhere. I'm just going to mount mine right in the middle. Best thing is to count these holes, keyholes, the spare ones that aren't filled, and find the middle one. From memory it's 14 if you want your shelf right in the middle, 14 including I think the hole above the very bottom one here. Even though that hole's technically filled in the bottom of it, I think we count up 14 of these, and that's the exact midpoint. Same with the top tier, but you can actually put them in a different location if you wish. They are adjustable. Now with this bit in step 5 where we're just putting the sides around the very top of it, you want them to go up in the very topmost holes here, so that the top shelf is flush with the top of the unit. So we're right in that half hole at the top there, and that'll be the height of the top shelf. So if you want your shelves in the middle, your intermediate shelves, we now have basically the frame for the other 3 in place, the top, middle, bottom one. And we need to count up 14 holes including this very bottom one. So basically 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and we put our side piece in there. And that should give us pretty much the middle of these two, and it's the same number of holes on the next layer. So we'll put them all in at that height and we'll get a pretty even one, but these are fully adjustable, so you can basically sit these shelves wherever you want them. You probably could even put the top 2 in the top if you really wanted to, but it's probably best to keep them fairly evenly spaced. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And so there we have it, everything but the wooden shelves in place, all evenly spaced shelves. So it's really just a matter of pick up these bits of timber and just drop them into each frame. Just a matter of tilting them a bit to get them in here. And they just drop in place. At this stage you could paint them if you wished. If it's just for a garage, probably not much point, but they are only plain MDF, and also the frame is just this plain grey colour, so if you're going to put them somewhere that you wanted them a bit more showy, then it'd be a good time to get in and just spray paint the frame and run a paint roller over these MDF shelves just to make them look the part. So here's the shelving unit with all the shelves in place and completely finished. It's probably around 15 odd minutes work to assemble the whole thing. And there you have it. It's just a matter of finding lots of junk to put on it. Or you could even rush down to your supermarket and stock up on a few trolley loads of toilet paper, which seems to be a popular thing to do at the moment, just in case the coronavirus outbreak, leads to no toilet paper. So at least you have plenty good stash of that. Or you could put it to some more use in your garage, storing sort of man cave type junk. Here's one I put together earlier. It's got some retro televisions on it and some hi-fi stuff, which I will get around to doing some videos on one of these days. So as you can see, they're 1.8 metre high, but of course the top shelf you can stack a bit of stuff on, which will get it above that height. And 900 odd wide, 400 depth. If you're putting these up against a wall or something, it probably is best just to screw the back frame down to the wall or to this bit of wood in my case. But just for safety's sake, always best to make it so that children and the like can't pull these shelves over, or even adults for that matter. Then again, like I say, not the strongest shelves I've ever seen. I certainly wouldn't recommend putting the rated capacity on them. But for lighter stuff like this, perfectly good for just general storage. You can certainly put some heavier stuff down on the bottom shelf, but again, it's only 9mm odd MDF shelves, so they're not going to take a lot of weight without bending the wood, even if they don't completely collapse. So I'd certainly recommend them for much lighter items. Seems to take the weight of these alright. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and enjoy assembling your shelves.